media.
Hello and welcome to Journey Intelligence Weekly, your briefing on the latest news and trends in the world of AI. I'm Jordan Roberts and I'm here with Mark Pizzoli. We're both from Journey Alliance, the proud sponsors of this series. Thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us live or you're catching the recording for this. Either way, please feel free to put any questions in the comments. If you're watching live and you put your thoughts, questions in the comments, we'll try to incorporate them as we go. We would like it to be as interactive as possible. I think it's a little more fun that way. And if you're curious at any point about how AI might be able to apply for you specifically in your role at work, you can scan that QR code in the corner there and it will take you to our website. And where you can learn more about our AI training, or you can visit the website that I will drop in the link in the comments below. Additionally, stick around to the end because we are going to be covering a live operating process generating GPT that Mark built at the end. I know that sounds like a lot, but it really kind of helps you plan out your goals for the next 5 years and beyond. And it's pretty cool. So stick around for that. And without further ado, Mark, what have you seen in the news this week?
So we don't often talk about new tools that launched or new services, but there was a really interesting one this week that caught my eye called Context.ai. I haven't played with it yet, but it's basically, they're touting it as an AI native office suite. So they're bundling chat, docs, sheets, decks in a single AI first workplace, right? So they're coming at the same thing that that Google, Apple, Microsoft all already have, right? But they're doing it AI at the core of it, at the middle of it. They've built it out fairly quickly, it would seem, and they've got they raised like 11 million in seed money. I don't know when, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they already have 60,000 users signed up pre-launch, right? So on a waiting list. Pricing was pretty reasonable. Single user started at like $20 for a pretty base model, scaled up to like $100 or $200 for something more full featured, and then power user was like $1,000 a month. So the interesting thing is the way they see themselves competing, right? So the way the conceptually what they're wanting to be able to accomplish is all this disparate information you have in your documents, your meetings, your chat, right? Being able to turn things like from all these different systems and information sources into a slide deck, into a presentation in seconds, right? Like pull a presentation together on this topic. And candidly, that's not something that is still something that's challenging to do. Like when we build presentations, even at Journey, it's still a fairly manual process. Yes, you can use Canva. Yes, you can use AI and PowerPoint, and candidly, none of them are great. So, so it should be interesting to see where they land. But their key differentiator, the way they view themselves versus Google Workspace, as an example, is that they run locally so it can run locally, meaning that it doesn't run in the cloud per se, and they're using enterprise grade security, which is quite different than going out and using like a Google Workspace. So for companies that want to enable their users to have kind of AI available in a very integrated way in their workspace, in their office, technology tools. This is an option to do that without it having to be in the cloud and on somebody else's hardware. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see how it works. Probably be quite a while before it's readily available to just anyone. They're going to be scaling up, it seems, if they have that many users that are interested. But we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Like, there's some very interesting tools being launched these days.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting thing to note. They're moving towards having something that's integrated, where it's just one place. You're like, here's all these documents, make me a PowerPoint out of this, and you don't have to use all these different tools. I feel like increasingly we're seeing these AI companies race to doing that. Like ChatGPT is, from leaked documents and some of their own announcements, they're trying to integrate and make it the end all be all. Like, you don't have to go somewhere else. And I think a lot of people want that. They're like, I don't want to have a separate app that gets my transcripts, and then I have to download the transcripts and ask for the takeaways. And like, it seems like not a lot of steps, but it's supposed to save you time, right? So it would just be, it's cool to see that it's kind of moving that way and that need is being heard.
Yeah. It's interesting because there was already a kind of a general kind of consensus of, we need to consolidate all this information. In the past, it just hasn't been a big deal that you had information in multiple systems, because you could, as a person, right, you were used to consuming information that way, and you would go get it and then pull it together as you needed it. Now it's not accessible to the AI engine, and therefore it's a problem. Right now it's slowing down my thing that could be done in seconds and making it take minutes, and it feels like it really slowed my process down. So my meeting note taker doesn't talk to anything else, and so like, you see this is a challenge, right? And I have that challenge with my meeting note taker. I use one that I use Loom, and it doesn't talk to ChatGPT. It doesn't talk to all my Microsoft tools. And so I end up having to copy paste transcripts out of it into something else. And so I can just see the desirability of something like this. And the consolidation of the Office suite has been happening for years, right? That's kind of what Notion's doing too, giving you all these tools on one site. But their differentiator, being able to do it locally, I think it really puts them in a unique spot. So
yeah, for sure.
Similar topic, but different, right? The same, but different. So we heard this week that some people spotted in the wild a new study together mode in ChatGPT. So it turns ChatGPT into a tutor, and it asks you the questions. So if you have a problem you want to solve, it doesn't just give you the answer. You tell it you want to be in learning mode or in study together mode, and it asks you questions that guide you toward the answer, hence, so that you have to learn how to do the work. So this is, I think, really key. We're hearing, right, like a lot of people are really concerned about what's going to happen to the generation of kids that grows up having all the answers, and like they just don't have to ever do the work. It's a genuine concern, right? Like most of us are coming to this place where we're wanting to automate rote work that we do. Like, I don't want to do the rote work. It's not high value, but that doesn't mean I didn't need to learn how to do it at some point in my life, right? And like, I don't know that you can just skip past it, right? So I think this is a genuine need. Also there's, Google's got LearnLM and Anthropic's got learning mode. So this is ChatGPT's answer to those, or OpenAI's answer to those. So could be interesting. And it probably ties in nicely to something we're going to be talking about a little bit later, which is the new, teacher training academy. And so when you think about the two together, you start to see a cohesive strategy on the learning side from OpenAI.
Yeah, and that is kind of comforting to know that there is some effort being made to hear those concerns as well. Because they're very real concerns, like how kind of my generation came in and didn't have a world without the internet. Kids now are gonna not have a world without AI. But I think even those of us who were born with the world without AI and kind of have learned how to use it, we are gonna become a little reliant on it as well. So that's a pretty helpful tool. But in addition to that, anything you want to learn at all that's a good tool for it. It's not just, that concern of our brains are rotting, we're never going to know how to think ever again. Yeah, like that's just a really helpful tool.
Yeah. it's interesting. It makes me reflect. So I have an 11-year-old. She she doesn't ever use AI. In fact, she teases me for using AI. And it's funny. It's available to her, not readily available, but like it's available. But if she's doing her homework or whatever, she just knows she has to do her homework. I don't know. It's interesting. I never thought about it until now. She doesn't really have a desire to go to something that has all the answers.
Yeah, but I imagine that will change.
That'll change as she approaches harder work in high school, I imagine. So
yeah, for sure. So in other news, a company called Cursor, but AnySphere is, I think, the parent company. So this is a coding assistant, a super fast coding assistant, and the fastest company to get to 100 million in revenue in 6 months. They had a bit of an issue with their pricing. So originally they had a $20 a month pro plan where you could use as much as you wanted on their responses, but they changed it so that you get $20 worth of AI usage. So it's a fixed number of fast responses, and it was a cap, and then you would be charged additionally. Users obviously hit that cap really quickly because it's not very hard to do with models like Claude that use up a lot of tokens, and they were pretty surprised to get the overage bills. So that, I think, is probably pretty indicative of the future of AI pricing. It's incredibly expensive to run some of these models. So I think being aware of that when you're making these choices and paying for subscriptions, that it could change down the road, and just being mindful of that so you're not caught unaware.
Yeah, it'd be like if our cellular carriers decided to take us from, unlimited minutes or unlimited data to like, oh, you got to pay for an overage. And by the way, we didn't really tell you have to pay for an overage. You're just going to get the bill, right? That's happened to all of us at least once with probably, international calling or something. So not fun.
Yeah. And some other not necessarily fun news. In mid-June, attackers used an AI voice clone of Senator Marco Rubio to call 5 senior officials over Signal, governor, members of Congress, and 3 foreign ministers, trying to extract state secrets. They really only needed 15 to 20 seconds of public audio to create a very realistic fake voice of the senator. And this is not the first campaign of its kind. Deepfake is getting better, and humans can only tell that it's fake about 50% of the time. So it's really a toss-up. And it's also really cheap to mock someone's voice or do a deepfake. It's about $1 to $5 a month for some of these platforms that do it. So that's just something to be very mindful of. For businesses, it could be something like, maybe it's your CFO asking for this financial information. You need to have kind of a code with people who are in charge of your money or really expensive or big decisions, like a code with them to be like, hey, did you actually ask for this?
Yeah. This has been kind of building over time. And this is a really high level use of it, right? To see like somebody just seeing how impactful it could be at an international scale. But I personally am already like, when I answer the phone and I don't know the number, I don't say anything. And I don't think a lot of people realize that that's what's happening sometimes, is they're literally just trying to get a recording of your voice. If they can get you to talk for, as you said, 15 to 20 seconds, then they can mimic your voice and use it to call your bank, right? And so, or to call somewhere else. So you have to think about all this stuff now. It all ties together. It makes me worried. Like my parents are older. It just makes me worried, like the scams that they're going to have to deal with, right? Like the older generation always has scams to deal with, and it's about to get like a whole lot more complicated for them. So,
oh, yeah, definitely.
So there was a lot of hype in the last couple of days, and last night during the 8 p.m. Pacific live stream that started a little after 9, Elon Musk launched his newest flagship model, which is Grok. I still don't know if it's Grok or Grok. That's funny.
It's Grok.
Yeah. Which is Grok 4. So it is beating every other model that's released on all the benchmarks. OpenAI has a model that is outperforming it, but you don't have access to it. None of us have access to it. So I think it's the model they use to sell to universities and pharmaceutical companies and things like that. And it runs, and it's also, the difference is that model runs at thousands of dollars per query, and this one runs at pennies per query. So it's a significant improvement so far as efficiency goes. It's available as part of the paid platform on xAI, and there's also a new $300 a month Super Grok. So that's obviously for enterprise power users. So we're starting to see more of these multiple hundreds of dollar a month type packages launch. And it bumps Grok's context window up to 256,000 tokens. You're talking about 180,000 words there, something like that. That's definitely book length prompt, your typical book at least. It's absolutely crushing math and science and physics problems. So I think it's, Elon knows how to do technical things. He's not doing it himself. He knows how to build teams. That, if we're honest, he knows how to build technical teams that accomplish pretty substantial engineering tasks. So he's not to be taken lightly in that sense. And they seem to be making up ground, candidly. They clearly don't have the user base that OpenAI has. But so far as the technology goes, they're moving pretty fast. So the other interesting part I found interesting, at least, is it's supposed to be integrated into Tesla's dashboards in the next week. So that is going to widen its reach significantly because it's integrated. It's going to be integrated directly into a vehicle that there's a couple million units on the road now, I think.
Yeah.
More than that, right? So you'll see some people, I think, subscribe based on that alone. So should be interesting to see where that goes. Another launch coming out of Japan, Sakana AI launched what some people are calling an AI hive mind. It's a multi-LLM model. It uses 3 LLMs at the same time, O4 Mini, Gemini 2.5 Pro, and DeepSeek R1 to do inference. And then it's basically plays the models against each other so that they can brainstorm, critique, and refine the answers. So it uses all the models. The models have a discussion basically behind the scenes before you get your response to figure out what the best response is. And it returns higher results on all the benchmarks than any one of those single models. So it can improve the output of the individual models. And I would say, and their code, right? Not the model code that it's accessing, but the code for this tool is that they open sourced it. So this is definitely going to help other people like find ways to improve their models because they made it public. They put it in the public domain basically. But it does spark an additional debate on energy costs because now you're not just accessing one, right? You're accessing 3 models at the same time, right? Like what are we starting to talk about? What are we in terms of energy and power, right? So,
yeah, I do think eventually it's just going to make sense for these companies to figure out a way to do this more in a more energy efficient way. So I feel like that is a short-term concern, but it's a very real concern because they do take a lot of energy, and that's a pretty crazy amount right there. So that is the news we're going to cover today. We're going to show you this GPT now. Mark, how would you describe your GPT?
So this was inspired by another GPT I saw, another prompt I saw a prompt. It had all these replacement values in it, and it was like, hey, put all this information in about your life, and then submit the prompt, and it'll kind of build out a map for your life. And I'm like, well, I'm not a big fan of if you have 1 or 2 replacement values in a prompt, that's interesting, but like I'm not a big fan of having 7 or 8. So I'm like, what if we just build a GPT that asks me all the questions? And so it does this. So this GPT will ask you a series of questions about your current state of your life, right? Family, finance, professional, collegiate, academic, if you will, right? And then once you kind of agree that you've gotten it all the information it needs for context, it asks you information about what you want your desired end state to be. And I don't mean 6 feet underground. I mean like your retirement age. Like, what do you want retirement to look like, and when do you want that to be? And so it will go through and then ask you a series of questions and nail down what you want your retirement age to be. It gives you some high level rough estimates of what that lifestyle might cost in today's dollars, just so you kind of appreciate what you're actually talking about in terms of costs of that lifestyle. And then it builds you it charts a course. So mine wouldn't be that interesting because there's not that many 5-year sections of my life left. I mean, there are, but not of my career. So I had Jordan run through it, and she's going to walk you through kind of what she saw it do and kind of what the output looks like. And then I will drop the link to the GPT into chat while she's doing that.
Yeah. So we're not going to start at the top because I gave it real information and it will reveal my debt amount to everyone, which I don't want to do. So we'll start at 43 here. It's covering my career and skills section. So when you begin, it will ask you about your current career and your skills and your goals for that. And then it will ask about your finances, your health and energy. To be honest, I am not very active. I like to read, and that's not an active activity. So, and then it asks you, your personal life and the legacy that you'd like to leave behind and lifestyle. So I was very open with it about the amount of money that I have saved and the debt that I have and goals for my life. Writing a book is a big one for me. So you'll see that in there in one of these. But so it goes in 5-year increments covering each of these sections and ways that you can start or things that you can do to make these things happen. So it's doing this in 5-year increments. And then I said I wanted to retire by 65, but that might be ambitious for my age group. Anyway, so then it asks you if you want to drill down into year one to 1 year. I said yes. So this is year 1 of my roadmap. I will be graduating with my MBA next year. It actually gave me a very realistic timeline for finding a new job. And then budget. Showed my credit card debt. So we're going to skip that one. The budget, health and energy. I have ADHD. I don't mind saying that. So, productivity systems, because I mentioned that was something that was important. Personal fulfillment, it's talking about my writing habit to get the book written. So other things like that. And then you can break it down into month by month. And I didn't quite want to get that deep yet, but overall, it just gives you this very detailed view of how you can plan out your life, essentially. I do want to say, if you use this, if you click that link, for any GPT, when someone has created a GPT, the information that you put into it, the creator of the GPT cannot see. So you can, if you decide to use this, you can be very honest with it. I wouldn't have been honest with it if Mark could see it. Or anyone could see it, actually. So I will say that you don't have to worry about any GPTs you use. You do, of course, the standard privacy concerns that you might have with ChatGPT itself, but the person who created it, they cannot see it.
We cannot see the information you enter in the GPT.
Yep.
So.
Any other tips to making this one work well, Mark? I know.
Yeah, so I mean, the way I built it, it's the goal is for it to bring back to you everything in 5-year increments to start, and then it will allow you to break that down into 1-year increments for the next 5 years. And then you say, yes, let's map out the next 12 months in more detail. You can break down the next 12 months. And then you could break a month into daily tasks. So that's, this is, for me, this is a standard process, somewhat standard process I use. If you start high level and then you just drill in. At the end of that, it will ask you to not ask you, but it will encourage you to come back in a month and update it. You can come back to the same chat. I think it'll be in your chat history. So you can come back to the same chat. You didn't actually, that actually didn't used to work, by the way. You couldn't come back to chats that you had with GPTs, but now you can. It'll be in your chat history, and you can say, hey, here's what I got accomplished this month. based on what I did accomplish and what I didn't accomplish, update like the next month, and it'll reset and move you forward from there. So you're not going to hit all your goals every time, but you will find that it breaks things down into more manageable chunks. So
as you were talking, Mark, I had it do the month by month. So this is giving me some really good advice on finances and health and energy. If I'm being honest, these are probably the two biggest areas I'd want to focus personally. So it's giving me real advice here. And then I had to go down by day. So it's giving pretty good advice. Mark did have to tell me, everyone, what zero-based budget meant. So you can tell how good I am at budgeting.
You want me to not spend? Wait, hold on. I can't spend money I didn't make yet. I don't understand.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. I mean, I do that anyway, but I didn't know it was called zero-based.
So if you have feedback on it, feel free to put feedback in. Little tip: a lot of people don't even know you can do this. If you click on the little drop down arrow up where the model is, Jordan, where the name of the GPT is, you can actually choose to send feedback, and that feedback will find its way to me. So you can send feedback on this. It goes through OpenAI, but the feedback you can rate the GPT, and then you can also provide feedback. So I hope this is helpful. I want to thank Jordan for being a little vulnerable. So she went through this not with the intention of us showing it on here, and then I was like, "Hey, are you willing to show that?" She was like, "Maybe."
Not the top of it, but yeah, I can show the plan.
Well, I want to thank you for being a little vulnerable, and I hope you find it useful. And if you guys have any comments or questions, shoot them off, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. So appreciate all of you, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, thanks everybody.